Alright, welcome back to Frugal Homestead. This video is going to be a little different than normal. We're going to sit down, have a cup of coffee, quickly try and run through this. It's going to be a long video. Sorry about that in advance, guys. Nothing we can do about it. It takes a while to explain how you pay off your homestead. This is not something you do overnight. This takes planning, budgeting, thinking ahead, follow through, a little luck, a little family, and much, much more. So we're going to talk kind of fast in this. We're going to cover ground kind of fast. I will be stopping and going into more details on different parts of this in upcoming future videos. We're kind of just going to skim the top right now and explain exactly how we went from a very blended family that came together to where we are now with our homestead completely paid off.
Because a lot has happened in the last 13 years. 13 years,
yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Coming into this relationship, we both had come off bad relationships. It wasn't working out well for either one of us in our relationships, so we kind of had to move on. I came into the relationship with 2 children. My wife came into the relationship with 1 child, but she also had 4 stepchildren that at the time needed parents or needed guidance or needed a place to live, whatever you want to call it, however you want to dice it out. They are our kids. All right, they just are. We got custody. As kids do, as they grow up, they moved in and out, went to live with other family members, went to live with their dad. Some did, some didn't. But basically, we ended up with a very large blended family. So if you're thinking we don't have kids or we're rich or anything like that, you're
so not the
case. That's not how it is at all.
His, mine, and theirs.
Yeah.
And none of our kids are considered step. They all consider each other brothers and sisters.
There's no such thing as the word step in our family.
That was not allowed.
No. So basically, we brought us all together as a family and basically started to make our way in this world. We didn't know what we were doing. We were a mess financially. You had been held back from kind of pursuing a career of any kind of long-term engagement employment.
I was raising pretty much 5 kids by myself for the majority.
Yeah, and basically working warehouse, throw up books work and stuff like that. Nothing productive long-term that would get you to where you needed to be.
Yes.
So when we got together, I put an end to that. I said, I will take care of budgeting. I will take care of the children and work dummy jobs because I do construction, a little bit of factory work, logging, firewood, a little bit of everything. So I sent her out to the work world and said, make your way. I'll take care of all these crazy...
It's a little bit easier for him to work around our kids' schedules, sports, things happening. Mm-hmm. So I was able to focus more on a career and my college degree. Now, with that being said, we both brought some debt. Some pretty big debt.
And that's the number one thing we would tell you. If you're really serious about wanting to buy property or pay off your homestead, the first thing is deal with your debt.
So, first thing we did was we paid off all of his back child support.
Yep. I was probably...
He has 2 kids, 2 moms.
And I was, probably $2-3 grand behind?
Probably.
I was literally, to put this in perspective, my paycheck weekly was $47. My work was coming to me saying, it's not technically legal for us to do this. We can change this to where your check will be more like $100 a week. But until this gets dealt with in court, then, and I just told him leave it. And I literally had enough gas to put in my Cutlass at the time and get to work.
My kids were like, Mom, we're going to have to take him some food. He's going to starve to death.
I was literally, you literally was nothing in my cabinets but ramen noodles and coffee. Nothing.
That him and his little dog shared.
Yeah. So that was the first debt we chased down, was my child support debt. So once we got that paid off, we went to...
my student loans. And I had a pretty good bit in student loans. I still had, I think, close to $10,000 in student loans.
So we hammered down on those, making double, triple payments. We redid the loan amount 2 times, I think.
I think so.
and we just hammered those things with everything we had. I would do, side jobs. Me and the boys would go do little side jobs, and we'd put money
Sell
towards
firewood.
anything we could find to make a buck to get that debt gone, because we knew with that debt there we could never really do anything.
We did not get any of my student loans forgiven. We paid off 100% every cent of my student loans.
We paid every penny.
Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing. If you can get that, more power to you. I didn't know how to do it, and we just was determined to get out of debt.
Yep. So once we paid that off, we started thinking about our future, and we wanted to have a homestead of our own. We wanted to have property of our own. So about a half mile from my dad's property, we found a lot. Now this isn't even an acre lot. And it is actually now what we call the lot here on the farm. Technically, back in the day, it wasn't big enough to build on. With the new UV stuff with the grinder stations and the septics and stuff, you now can put a small property, on something less than an acre in this county. Before, you weren't allowed to. So when we bought it, the intentions were to make it have no sewer at the time and just have a porta-john on it until we could afford the $12,000 for the septic with the UV and the grinder station. So we bought the property, and Missy pursued the lady, and this is just a piece of abandoned property back a private lane. So Missy pursued the lady and convinced her to sell it to us for $500. So
that was the first piece of property we ever owned.
We bought that. And then it was not even a year later. Not even a year later, we got called up to talk to my dad and my mom. And they basically told us that this property, which is our farm now, they had been renting it, and they were making the payment, like renting it out. They were making the payment on their land contract, and they had picked it up for $85 with 25 acres. And it just was coming to a point where they didn't want to have to maintain it because it was not producing enough for the upgrades they were putting in.
Between the payment and the taxes, they were basically just breaking even.
There wasn't no profit to be made in it, so it's much more profitable to kick it off and let us assume it and pay the payment. Basically, it's staying in their name, so they're covered. But basically, we took care of paying the payment. We took care of the upkeep. We took care of expansion. We took care of everything, with the deal that we would pay it off before the finalized date on the land contract. They kind of knew that since we owned the property next door already, Dad was sick with dealing with renters back here. Not that he had some bad people, he just couldn't keep anyone in it. It seemed like every 6 months he was rotating renters, and when you do that, you got to come in and clean, paint, and then just it was.
Now
a pain.
there was the problem of the kids, because this is only a 2-bedroom. So we agreed that we wanted to take it over, but we needed to add on 2 bedrooms. So what did you go to and do?
I broke my ankle.
We get nothing but the foundation in of the 2 rooms, and he broke his ankle.
Like broke the ball off the side of the ankle. So
me and the boys learned a lot about construction as he was directing us on the side and trying to get up there and do it himself.
Yeah, I was on crutches. As long as I was off, like crawling where my feet could hang, I was fine. But getting there and lifting 2x6 rough cut walls, it was something. But basically, we put on a 24 by 20 addition on the back of the trailer. Got it all closed in, turned into 2 bedrooms, put the boys in there. My daughter had the room up here.
The rest of the boys were older by then, or moved in or out, or
yeah. So at this point, we knew that we were where we needed to be good enough. We were considering how to come up with money for college for the kids that were still living in the house, but we knew that no matter what, we needed to financially save. So step 1, we cut the cord. I actually got given, my Aunt Carolyn gave me a TV antenna tower, and I actually built our own because we were still hugging pennies. I mean, but we put up a TV tower, an antenna tower. I climbed up it. We put up some antennas. Started getting like 30 stations, I think, 20 to 30 stations at the time. Turned off everything other than just basic internet. At the time, we were just using like phone-style DSL internet, which was slow. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, nobody went without. Anything you could find that you want to watch was on the computer. I could get it one way or another. It may not have been great, but it is there. We learned to watch a lot of shows after. We did a lot with the Roku, watching free stuff on the Roku.
But that ended up saving us at least $100 a month.
At least $100 a month, easily. So then step 2 was that I went out and found us a lower cost way. Actually, the next thing was the wood burner.
Mm-hmm. Wood burner was next.
So the furnace conked out here, and they wanted $7,000 to replace everything because it's actually like 2 generations back of furnace models, you know, with refrigerants and heat pumps and the whole system. And actually, the heat pump kicked, and then the emergency coils actually burn out inside the furnace. So they wanted like $6-7 grand, and I was like, that's not happening. I don't have it. So we actually bought a Daco wood burning furnace, poured a pad, built a building, plumbed all the airway in, and started burning for heat.
Yep.
So that saved us $300 to $400 a month in the winter.
Yes, because it's went down drastically.
Mm-hmm.
So what was after that?
Mint.
Oh, our cell phones. So we had been paying up to $200 a month for our cell phones for us and 2 of the boys.
Yep, 4 lines.
For 4 lines. So we changed it to Mint Sim, which made us $15 a month per phone.
Yeah, they have now rebranded to Mint Mobile. Same company, same plans, but as long as you pay by the year, and there's some variations for new people, you bring your own phone, an unlocked phone, you pay for your year, it's $15 a month. Now, they used to include the regulatory charges and taxes and stuff in that pretty much. This year, they've changed to where it's an external cost, but still, to put it in perspective, it's
$200.
$200 is what we pay
for the year for each phone.
Yep.
So we pay $400 a year.
That's our cell phones done for the year.
For the year.
And that gives you 3 gigs, unlimited talk and text. It's on the T-Mobile network. I mean, we have no problem with it. And we have videos about that you know you can refer to. And there's going to be a new one coming because this is our 3rd year of service.
So then I think the next big thing was Tony's Toys, the solar.
Oh, yes. So our electric bill was still pretty pricey, and I was trying everything, and we're going to do a whole video about how we started cutting it down before we even got solar to buy the solar.
Oh, that's right, because we added the hot water heater.
The timer, and we changed light bulb. We did a whole bunch of stuff to basically save money every month, and we took that money every month and saved it, and then I found new panels that somebody had bought a whole bunch of, and he was willing to sell some of the extras at a discount. So we went and bought 8 or 10 panels. 2, 6, 8, 10. 10 panels for $1,100? $900?
I think it was
$1,300. That sounds right. Anyways, we bought the panels. We bought some cheap E-grid ties. Not saying it's right. You can't net meter with them, but it basically just offsets what you use during the day. And I started ramming our electric bill down to like $50 a month. I mean, I was hitting
So that's
it.
kind of like our goal now is $50 a month for our electric. Anything extra was put towards paying off the house.
So everything you hear about here, because we were in a land contract, we couldn't do double payments. So everything you hear about here, we're putting in accounts and saving. We're just building cash. Now, we came twice, we came real close to paying off. And once we lost a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And another time we had to go basically scoop my son up from Tennessee where he had gotten himself in all kinds of trouble. And just the driving back and forth, miss work, costs.
Just a lot of expenses that year.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, all the boys had their own costs at one point in time or another. So it isn't like anyone being singled out. It just hit us at that time. So this year, actually last year, we started getting real serious about it. And we started buckling. Budget was buckled. Food bill was buckled. I mean, I had a stranglehold on everything.
Everything.
I mean, it was, honey, let's go out to eat. I'd be like, no. Or she'd go, let's go buy tickets. No. I mean, you heard no come out of my mouth all the time. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing this. We're not getting new cars. She's got a truck. She's at like 285,000 miles right now. We still haven't replaced. But we're just holding off on everything. I said, we're not buying nothing. And we hammered down. And just in that year alone, we had some other cash saved. But just in that last year alone, we did what, 10 grand? Mm-hmm. So we saved 10 grand cash money. And then we had a little other money. And then, to finish it off, tell them how you got the rest of the money.
You mean the 401k? I did a loan on my 401k for the rest of it. And that was about 20-some thousand.
Now, that was a planned thing, though, because we had been investing what they match plus extra. So we'd been planning to do this and putting money in there, praying the market held, because that's also an investment form.
So the property started out $85,000 was what Tony's dad bought it for, and we took it over at about $70,000, and we paid it off when it was around $40,000.
Yep. So, in all real terms, we kind of traded our mortgage to a basically zero interest loan that comes back out of her check to pay back her 401k. She's just paying herself back. As long as every payment's made and everything's good and there's no issues, then at the end there is no real interest. It just goes back into the account. So
there is like a $25 processing fee every year. My 401k plan is very good as far as loans go.
Yeah, and we had been planning that since the beginning. That was the whole point behind me saying to her, go get a good job with the full benefits, with the 401k, with the retirement plan, so that it was all part of the bigger plan, which was to come together and get this done. Now, paying it off took sacrifice. All right, we didn't give up like the funness of life to go out and do things. We just found things that didn't cost us money.
Like for instance, the movie theater around us, we can go to Lancaster and pay $10, $11 for those cinemas, or we can drive to Nelsonville and pay $4 for a movie.
Yeah.
So we could take all of the kids out and for $50 buy them pizza at the movie theater over here and take them to a movie for $50 versus going to Lancaster and spending $100 to $150 for the amount of kids that we had.
Yep. And there was also things like how we ate. We had boys in football, so I would meal prep at the beginning of the week and make a huge pot of spaghetti. And that would be when they came home, they'd just eat a huge plate of spaghetti before dinner. And then eat their dinner because they were needing so many calories that if I had tried to feed them, it would have killed us. I mean, there wouldn't be any money to do anything. And some people would say, us going to Mint, you only get 3 gigs a month. So if you're on your phone 24/7 and you're not somewhere with Wi-Fi, you're going to get throttled. So you had to be smarter about how you use your internet too. There's things we had to give up, and as this last year we were able to save a lot, partially was because we did a lot of backpacking and a lot of hiking and for our personal time.
But we were on trips like all the time.
Yeah.
But we found that we both love hiking and backpacking, so it just cost us the amount of gas money that we were going because we would dehydrate our own meals.
Yep.
The equipment we reused. So once we did our initial investment into equipment, which wasn't we do budget friendly there too.
I mean, there was enough trips to inhibit us creating a YouTube channel with a full blown content called Our World Outdoors, and I mean, you're talking 200 videos plus of content we built off just adventuring together and enjoying life, and we still continue to do that to this day. Now, we are sitting on 25 acres in the Hocking Hills, which is like a giant tourist trap, to be honest. With an average $3,000 per acre is the average cost. Actually, it's more, but the market's down right now. That said, the investment here on 25 acres is we're sitting on timber too. It has been cut before, but it's still got a lot of big growth. So in reality, if we wanted to go out tomorrow and take the investment we just put out, the 40 grand, technically with a little bit of searching, we probably could get most of that back just off the timber, even with the low prices right now. So the investment was a good investment. We knew going in that we were going to win, and we know the fact that we're 3 miles from town, 4 miles from town. Where are you going to get country setting that can't be built up 4 miles from town? In the next 10 to 15 years, it will be astronomical. And we live on hills, like big hills, so no one will ever be able to fully develop around us. And we are back a private lane as well, so there's no direct drive back here.
And currently, I don't know of any of the neighbors who have any anticipation of ever selling, and they get decent sized tracts too.
Yeah, good tracts all the way around us that even if you bought them, you would have to put in major money to put any roads back in here. And I would say most cities wouldn't do that because it's not cost effective on these hills. But
it's definitely been an adventure though.
And it's been a struggle, and we've worked hard, and there's been nights of crying, there's been nights of joy,
but every year we've did a family vacation every year. Now the money typically for a family vacation came from Tony and the boys working and selling firewood or doing side jobs, scrapping, whatever. But we did it, and we finally accomplished what we wanted to.
Yep, and I mean, it hasn't just been us seeing the short end of the stick. I mean, we've got a lot of grandkids now too. And we've had to put very tight restrictions on things like Christmas and other things. So it's not just us. It took a family to do this, a family of understanding to do this, to get where we are. It didn't just magically happen. We had, my parents were involved, friends of the family were involved. I have a lot of contractors and people I get work from. They were involved in it. I get phone calls from people that say, hey, we got some scrap metal. Come over here and pick this up. Those are the little things that we put together, to move forward. Now, we're here now. It's paid off. So now we have to turn our attention to the next step. Everybody thinks, once it's paid off, it's all gravy. No. That's not how it works. The next step is, A, to get her a vehicle bought cash money. B, is to make sure that when we're ready, or more preference, you are ready to retire, that she has plenty of income sitting there ready to be made every single month. We're investing in many things which are true passive incomes. We'll be doing a video on all those things. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet on those, but I'm not talking about selling soap or anything else. You've heard we do plenty of sideline work, but I'm talking about real passive income that you don't have to deal with constantly. So we'll go over that in the future. But I appreciate you guys watching. If you watched this long, I'm impressed. You're awesome.
No doubt.
But this is us. I mean, this is real. You guys want to see how a real homestead was paid off? We grinded. We grinded every bit. I mean, every day, sore backs, out there, running the garden, trying to cut the food bill, making ends meet, but yet still living life. You can't be a shut-in. And you won't miss a whole lot if you cut a lot of your bills and get your budget under control, because this would have never been possible without both of us on board with the budget. If you don't have both parties and your family kind of on board with the budget,
each one of you keeping each other in check.
Yep, you got to call each other out. Say you can't spend money on that.
And you're going to get into more detail later about how each one of our bills, he is phenomenal about cutting bills.
But it's not always the popular job, trust me. But somebody has to do it. If you're going to succeed, somebody has to be the final say of, are we spending this or not? It has to happen. It
has to happen without people griping about it.
Yeah, it has to. If you're not both all in, it'll never work.
I am human, so he's seen times when I was disappointed. but he had control, final say anyway.
And it always usually worked out one way or another. But we do appreciate you guys hanging around, listening to us jab. This is how we did it. It's all in black and white. We didn't hide anything. If you have any questions, feel free to go down in the comments. Ask them. Anything we can do to help you get to where you want to be, or any ideas you might have for us to improve our system throughout all of our videos, please feel free to share them. We never want to stop learning. If we stop learning,
we're both very open to new ideas.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know the best ways to do everything. A lot of it is trial and error. But if there's a trick to get it done easier and faster, I'm not afraid to listen. But then again, that could be a tractor, make it get done easier, but I'm not spending 20 grand. So some things we just can't afford to do.
Right.
But we will be back with more videos to break down each section into more detail, to show you more of how we did it and how we basically beat the system, because we shouldn't have been able to do what we did.
Not at our age.
No. I mean, we basically beat the system. And while we may not have the best in the world, we have what keeps us happy, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. And we hope that you find what you want and what you need in your life to make you happy. So,
thanks for getting to know us a little bit better, and we'll see you in the next video.